Hi, I'm Joe and welcome to the channel. Boomer bends. Do you know what boomer bends are? A while back it was kind of a thing. But it really got me thinking, what are some of the most common bends on the guitar? So in this micro lesson, I just wanted to share with you some of the most common bends that you can do in the minor pentatonic scale and the major pentatonic scale. And yes, if you want to turn them into boomer bends, you certainly can. Let's grab a guitar and get started. Okay, so what are some common bends? Let's start with everyone's favorite box. Box 1 of the minor pentatonic scale. There's two really common bends that happen in this box. The first one's going to happen on the second string pattern with your 1-4. It's taking this flat 7 and raising it to the root. Now you saw what I did there. The first time I went into it, I didn't hit the right note. So what do you do in that case? Well, it just takes a matter of practice and getting the muscle memory down. One trick that you do is you hit the target note and then hear that in your head. So you saw there, each time I'm fine-tuning to make sure that I'm hitting that right pitch. And this is just something that takes time. And a lot of times I notice personally that I'm bending flat. And I think I do that because I seem to add a lot of vibrato. One of my biggest influences is Prince. And he had a really wild vibrato. Well, because of that, you can kind of get away a little bit with being under the pitch because of vibrato. It takes care of that problem. But that's kind of, I don't want to say cheating because that's a way to express yourself, but if you really want to start nailing bends, and this is, I'm also talking to myself here, I really should practice bending. And just try to get to the pitch. Well, anyway, that was a little bit of a detour, but what I wanted to share was the flat 7 going to the root is always a great bend to do because you're targeting a chord tone. So if you're playing A, hitting that root note is always going to sound solid. The next bend can be found on the 3rd string, your 3rd finger, and you're going to go to the 5th of the A. When you practice these bends, practice going slowly into them and going fast into them. If you want to, also practice experimenting with going flat into the note and then the vibrato. Or go flat and then vibrato. And shake it down. All these ways that you're playing these notes, getting to the bend slow or fast, or adding vibrato or not adding vibrato, are kind of choices you make, but you know what? It makes up your own voice on the instrument. So when you're playing these notes, think again, not think again, I didn't tell you this yet, but think like a singer. Think like a singer where you're kind of singing these notes out. And if you notice, some singers will add a little vibrato at the end of the longer notes. And that's a musical choice that you make. But each variation that you understand or practice, I should say, becomes part of your vocabulary and part of your own voice on the instrument. So practice these every single possible way. Again, slow bends, going flat into the raised note or shaking it with some vibrato. Coming down from the pitch, you can obviously do the reverse bend. That's another reverse bend. But all these things, again, become part of your vocabulary. Sorry again, it's detour number 2. Let's go back to the lesson. So now that was in the minor pentatonic pattern. Well, if we were using the major pentatonic shape, which is basically the same thing, but we're going to play the A here, major pentatonic. It looks like box 1, but your root is actually be on your 4th finger. That famous Motown sound, right? Well, guess what? The most common bends happen on the same strings in this shape, in this pattern. And what you're doing here is you're going to take the 5th now, which is the E, in this case, and you're bending it up to the 6th note, which is an F sharp. So that's a very common bend. Another common bend is the same thing that we saw before on the G string, but this time we're taking the B, which is the 2nd, and we're going to the 3rd of the A chord. Again, a very strong note to land on because it's one of the chord tones that make up the A chord. Again, this assumes that the chord that you're playing over obviously is A. So this sounds like this. And what's nice about that bend is that you can do some variation and then land on the root note when you're doing some sort of solo line. But it just sounds nice. The 3rd is a very sweet note to land on. Why is that? Well, usually when you're playing a chord, the notes that really define the sound of that chord are the 3rd, and if you're playing a 7th chord, it would be the 7th as well. Those really define the sonic quality, or the sonic quality, the characteristic of that chord. So those are basically the 2 main ones to start practicing on if you're not familiar with bends. And when you're bending, you notice what I'm doing is I'm using multiple fingers. I'm not just using one finger to try to bend it. These strings are too tight for me to do that. So basically use as many fingers as you need to bend up and push that note up. There's tons of tutorials on YouTube that you can watch to learn more about the bending. This, again, micro lesson was trying to focus more on the most common bends. So again, we have the flat 7. We have the 4, going to the 5. We have the, playing the major pentatonic, we have the 5th, going to the 6th, and then we have the 2nd, going to the 3rd. Another micro lesson down, short and sweet, right? I hope you found some value in this video. And if you did, would you do me a favor and consider helping me grow the channel by simply subscribing down below, hit the like button, and knock on the bell. All these things really do help me out, and I'm so grateful for your support. As always, I wish you a great day.